Hi, I'm doing Paul McWhorter's Pico W lessons and I'm up to lesson number 115. Now Paul didn't give us any homework for this lesson because he was just showing us how he used PyQtgraph and creating sine waves to get the colours, the R, G and B colours as desired, and then passing it to the Pico W to display on an RGB LED. Now I'm just showing you my version, partly because Paul was doing it as he was going, so it might not have been exactly the best way to do it, because normally you try things out and you clean up the code, and I'll just show you Paul's program to show you what I mean. Right, that's Paul's program. Everything still works. You can go like that, you can go like that, you can go like that. That value of the RGB there, showing that colour, is kind of like that. You can change the frequency, still, and chase mode. Wonderful. Everything still works, which one would hope it would be, because I just copied it and pasted it from his website. Now, what I don't like about it, when I make a video and upload it to YouTube, I find that blue doesn't show up on a black background, so I'm going to change the background to white. I don't know what that scale means. It doesn't mean anything to me, so I'm getting rid of it. And I don't actually like those buttons, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the red slider there, the green slider there, the blue slider there, and have the label of it change colour instead of using the button, and then underneath I'll have the RGB label. That's about it. That's just all cosmetic. I will explain what is happening in other things in a minute. Right, so I'm using my server, and I'm using Pico 0, so it's so much easier. That's how you set up an RGB LED, and that's how you set the colour. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now back to and if you run it, which is quite good, it resets it to, yes, great. Turn off the RGB LED. Now, my program, I don't like going from PyQtgraph import star, etc. I'm just importing what I want. Or that functools, I will tell you what that's about in a minute. I like to have all of the function definitions at the top of the program rather than them being higgledy-piggledy. I don't like global variables, so that's how I got around that. So you, instead of using xStart, you just use g.xStart, and you can update them in functions. What else? Right, that bit there. Now that is a list of lists, so it means I can loop through them, and that's all the parameters that I need for doing red, doing green, doing blue, and then as I go through it, I will add on to the end of each list the slider label, object, the slider, and the plotSin. So you could just go through it, because otherwise you're having to duplicate your code. You have to go red blah blah blah, then green blah blah blah, blue. So instead you're just looping through. Right, I am, instead of left and right that Paul did, I'm doing top and then all the sliders underneath, and I'm using GridLayout because that makes it look an awful lot easier. And then the slider label. Paul tends to set up the, what do you call it, the constructor. That's a constructor for a slider, and then it will set it up with all sorts of defaults, and then he will go slider dot set minimum, set maximum, whatever. Now, because I've spread it out, that takes the same number of lines, but it means that I'm not redoing things, and I think it looks nicer. As I said, I wanted it on a white background, so that's what that does. That line is getting rid of the stupid scale at the bottom. Now, chase mode. I didn't really understand why Paul was doing what he was doing with chase mode. All these points, you have to look at his program to see what I mean. I'm not going to compare one to the other, it takes ages. So if you've pressed the toggle button, why are you doing anything apart from just toggling chase mode? I'm probably missing the point there. So down we go, down we go, down we go. Now, down here, I'm just looping through all my variables. You know, the three lists of variables for parameters. Parameters is a better word. For red, then for green, then for blue. So it means I'm just setting up a label, and in the grid layout, I'm setting up in the first row, and then red will be in position 0, green in position 1, blue in position 2. Then I'm appending that label widget object to there. So that is now one longer. Whoops, that's now one longer. Then I'm doing the same thing with the slider, and I'm setting the text of the label widget to say what percentage strength it is, and then I'm putting it in position row 1, position 0, 1, 2, and appending it. And then I'm doing the same thing. I'm setting up to plot the graph, and I'm adding that that plot graph thingy to the wave. So that means when I come into it, I will have everything available. Now, the only different thing is that Paul was, I will just show you. I have got one function for update amplitude, and I'm passing it in the value. In fact, that pos is 0 for red, 1 for 2, no, 0 for red, 1 for green, 2 for blue, as you get it from there. And it means that you only need one function as opposed to 3 functions, and the way that you get around that is using this functools partial, which is down here. And don't know how it does it, but as opposed to having value changed equals update amplitude red, that's it, you put this partial thing, and then somehow it says, right, you don't have enough variables passed in, values passed in, therefore if you put it at the end, it will put it in, and it does it wonderfully. So that's all there is really. Oh, and then I'm just adding the RGB label underneath, so it shows the RGB colour, but nothing else. So update plot, and I'm going through each occurrence. So that first of all it's doing with red, then it's doing with green, then it's been doing blue. So just the same, I'm incrementing that. So that wave 1 is actually the phase. If you want to just look at the value, you can use col, phase, increment, amp, width. But if you want to change one, you have to access it by going wave 1, wave 2, etc. So it's just doing the sine wave and setting the data with it. I've cleaned up that slightly so it is a bit clearer. Then wave 7 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, the current value. So you're getting from the sine wave curve, the value of the colour that you're dealing with. So that will be red, current value, or green, or blue. And then that is just setting it up. So it means that if you're on red, it will say, right, red is 0. So it will look up in there and it will take that to put in your style sheet. And if you're on green, it's 1. So equally, you're putting that in your style sheet. And that's the one for blue. And it saves having to say, if the colour's red, you want to do that. If the colour's green, you want to do that. And using F strings means you don't have to do all this silly something or other in quotes plus string of something. You just put everything in your string and you put it in curly brackets whenever you want a value coming in. So is there anything else? No. And we come down, and this bit here is setting up the RGB colour by using the current value of red, comma, current value of green, comma, current value of blue, and setting the colour of it. And here in the label I'm actually saying that RGB is, and then I'm giving the RGB colours, like, so it's 0, 255, 0, etc. Now this shouldn't be necessary, but I don't know what I did. I think it was when I changed to grid mode, it kept changing the graph, the Y range. Don't know why, so I just have to do that. It only did it when I didn't have any of my red, green or blue values at 255. It scrunched it, so that just gets around that. So nothing else is of any import. I've been going along far too long, so right, I will run my server, and it flashed. Oh, you didn't see, I saw it flashed on to say yep, it's ready, and there we go. And as you can see, it's on a white background. Everything is working as it was before. You can change the frequency, doop-a-doop-a-doo. You can change the red values, so if we put red right down and green right down, you can see the blue is going up, so it's getting brighter, and that's getting brighter, both of those. And then as it goes down, that's getting duller, and that's getting duller, and nothing else really. So, oh, and it says red at whatever percentage when you move that. Yeah, and sorry, that's my husband. Then chase mode works. So There's my program. I don't know if anyone would be interested, but I'll put the code up in case anyone is.